Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you also, Dr. Scher from Helsinki. Due to your AI, Ukraine will defend itself a bit better than without. And now I'm very excited, and I'm very honored as well to introduce to you a most remarkable politician in Europe who embodies courage and resilience in the face of adversity. Per capita, Estonia is the most staunchest supporter of Ukraine. More than the US, much more than Germany. Kaja Kallas stands as a bold advocate for a strong and democratic Europe, unwavering in her commitment to our freedom and to European values. Thanks to her prudent and determined leadership, the European Union and NATO stand united and in solidarity with Ukraine. For her merits, she was awarded the Marion Dönhoff Prize for International Understanding and Reconciliation last year, and this afternoon she will be awarded the Walter Rathenau Prize. Putin, however, has placed her as the first prime minister on Russia's wanted list and issued a warrant for her arrest. You're safe here. Even so, she does not let herself be intimidated by this. She tirelessly emphasizes that we must not cease to oppose Putin's aggressions, as they will not stop otherwise, and more countries will be affected by his ruthless agenda. I admire her courage and her resilience. Please welcome Kaja Kallas in conversation with Anna Sauerbrey on the topic Lessons Learned, New Requirements for European Defense.
Prime Minister, thank you very much for being here, for taking the time for this conversation. We have just spoken to one of our correspondents in Moscow about the so-called election and Putin gaining another few years in power at least. So from your point of view, how dangerous is he today after these elections?
First, I refuse to call them elections. It's a special nomination operation, I think. And actually, it matters. You know, I read a book why they are playing this game of elections, and this is very fascinating because they are doing this not that they believe that they are actual elections or somebody else believes that they are elections, but they are doing this to undermine our elections, our democracy, saying, you know, potato, elections, you know, it's all the same. And we see this in different countries where you have, you know, United States, elections were stolen. Or you have it even in my own country, the opposition is saying that, you know, they don't recognize the election results, although they don't have anything tangible. They didn't make any complaints, I mean, or they did some, but the court said that this is, there's nothing there. So why they are trying to do this, and what we have to really be aware why they are doing this. But now coming to your question, then I think we have to, they are as dangerous as they were, exactly the same. What we have to worry about when they win, then we all have to be very worried. If Russia loses this war, then we don't have to be so worried as if they will win this war. So what will happen now afterwards? I think they will probably do some decisions that are also unpopular in autocracies, which is further mobilization of people for the war. And also we know that their budget is in huge deficit. What they want us to believe is that, oh, you know, the sanctions don't hurt us, they hurt you, Europeans. We shouldn't buy into that narrative, because we actually see that the sanctions are hurting them a lot. I bring you just some few proofs. One is that their budget is in a huge deficit, over 20% is in deficit. They can't raise capital outside because of sanctions. The Chinese are not lending them, so they definitely have a finance issue. They have been able to find buyers for only 5% of the gas that they were selling to Europe. So they have problems there. And also the mobilization to send more young people to die in Ukraine, that is also not popular, but they are probably going to do that as well.
We have just been in a conversation with Yuri Cheniev of the Verkhovna in Ukraine, the Ukrainian parliament, and he was pretty blunt, telling Europeans that we should prepare for a Russian war against NATO countries too. You've just said if Russia loses this war, the danger would be somewhat less, but should we still prepare, and where are we in preparing for that?
Well, we don't have to worry about Russia when they lose this war. And that's why we have to really focus on our efforts now to help Ukraine to defend themselves and also explain this to our people. The other track is that we also have to invest in our own defense. And because what provokes aggressor like Russia is, weakness does. So they will take up the war if they think that they can win. And therefore, I mean, I've been advocating for at least 2% of the GDP of all the NATO's allies to invest in defense, but actually it has to be more. I mean, Estonia is doing 3.2%, and I know how difficult it is to explain this to your people, because you have much better neighbors than we have, but it is, and then during peacetime, you know, the sun is shining and the people will say that, you know, you have to invest in education, in social affairs, and why do you invest so much in defense? But you don't, when you need it, it's already too late. And I bring you this example from our own history. In 1933, the expenditure on defense in Estonia was record low. Because it was peacetime, you know, we built up our prosperity, everything was nice. And until 1938, it was like, okay, the war is coming. Now we have to invest in defense. The defense expenditure was raised by 100%. It was too late. It was too late. And that is the thing. I understand here and in some countries, you really have to talk about this and convince people why this is necessary. And we also have to think outside of the box. How can we first boost the defense industry and then also get the finances for it? In Estonia, we have a very vibrant tech sector. So we have the most unicorns per capita, all these very, very interesting tech solutions. So now they are seeing that, okay, we should do something on defense. And we did this meeting and there was a lot of interest. But what is the problem and obstacle is that they are very good in raising capital. I mean, the new companies, this is what they do. But all the funds are closed for defense industry because the funds rules are that you can't invest in lethal equipment. So that is the gap that we have to fulfill. And that's why I proposed, you know, the idea of Eurobonds regarding defense to really close this gap and also bring others on board. Maybe also the fund rules will be changed then when we can show the tech sector that can, you know, really innovate also the defense industry. We have Ukraine as a testing ground. I mean, really not, you know, we do one test, but we actually can test those new things on the ground every day and develop things further, and that innovation can also be used in a civil sphere. But what we have to do it now, the sense of urgency is what is lacking in some of European countries, I am afraid. Coming
back to the threat emanating from Russia in Germany, the the threat of a nuclear war is very prevalent. Many people fear that Putin might attack with a nuclear weapon or use it in Ukraine. How do you see that? How credible is Moscow's nuclear saber rattling?
When I was at the event where the Ukrainians were also, and they said that when we are not afraid of nuclear weapons, you shouldn't be either, because when they're using nuclear weapons, they're going to use it on us, not on Germany. So this is, I think, the response to that. But what I want to say is that what Russia is very good at is sowing fear within our societies. And they are not very good in technology, but they're super good in social sciences, so applying that technology. So they are actually pouring fuel to the fires that are within our societies already, and also sowing fear within our societies. So what are you afraid of? Okay, you are afraid of nuclear. Okay, I give you the threat of nuclear, so that you will refrain from the decisions you would otherwise make. Some other countries have a worry about food security, for example. I give you the fear regarding this. We have to be aware of that. And the second thing, I think it's very important that we don't underestimate our own power. What Russia is afraid of, he's afraid of going to war with NATO. Is afraid of that. Of course, we don't want to go into war with Russia either. But we also have to think and understand what they are afraid of. To put those threats into a bigger picture.
Mm-hmm. We're speaking just ahead of the European Council. What are your expectations for the meeting, and what do you hope for with regard to Ukraine? First, that
you
can stay here. You don't have to go.
Yeah, just between us, just. First expectation that always is that the meetings would be shorter. The meetings are very long. It's very, very tiring. But jokes aside, we're going to discuss very many issues. For me, the discussion around the defense strategy, European defense strategy, is definitely important, and also how we raise capital for this, the funding for this. Then the discussion that we are going to have also regarding Middle East, and hopefully this time we're going to have also resolution regarding this. I think this is also important. What comes to Russia, then using the frozen assets. Tomorrow the Commission is coming up with the proposals, and I think, I would like to go further, but I understand this is the room where we compromise. So this is important that we are all.
What do you think will be the compromise on the assets? Because I know you have been a strong advocate of using them to rebuild Ukraine.
The compromise right now would be to using the windfall of those assets, and I think it's a first step. So we continue the debates, but I think it's the first step, and it's already a big movement.
Mm-hmm. I want to zoom out to later points in time this year, the US elections and the possibility of Donald Trump returning. He has obviously questioned defending Europe in case of a Russian attack. How credible do you think this threat is, and is Europe preparing enough for that event?
Well, first of all, we have to work with every leader that our allies, democratic allies, choose for themselves. So it is not up to us to choose the leaders. But I think, again, I'm coming back to my previous point about really investing in defense and doing everything on our side. And that is not dependent on what's happening in US. We should do this regardless. I think when Trump was president last time, then the expenditure on defense actually increased, because he was in NATO, said that, oh, you come from that country, why don't you spend 2%? And he had a list of countries. Okay, why? Oh, okay, Estonia, you're good. So thank you. We are doing 3.2%, but actually, again, not joking. Then it is for our defense that we have to think about these things and not be really reliant on U.S. I mean, U.S. is a very important ally, but we have to focus on what we can do ourselves in order to be ready to defend. And again, why? It's not that I'm saying that the war is coming immediately, but I'm saying that if we do enough, then the war is not coming, because it acts as a deterrence to Russia. As I say, weakness provokes Russia. If Russia thinks we can win, then they take up the war. If they see that you're strong enough or stronger than them, then they don't take it up.
And so far, do you feel Europe is running fast enough to achieve anything significant until November 5th?
Well, we have to think outside of the box. That's why I'm really trying to put together in Estonia this coalition of the unicorns, the tech sector, and the old defense industry. I must say I've had meetings with the old defense industry, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, how public is this event, but I can say that there's difference between defense industries' openness to innovation in different countries.
How about Germany? Where do you see Germany in that field?
Yeah, there are countries who are more open to innovation. If I may say so.
So Ursula von der Leyen has suggested creating the post of a defense commissioner. Would that be useful?
Well, the question is whether this commissioner has the competence and what does this commissioner do. I mean, what I am really trying to avoid is that in terms of military, we have NATO, and we shouldn't do any alternatives to NATO. Because why? In military terms, when we have crisis, then it's super important, the chain of command. Who gives orders to whom? I mean, this is important. If you have two parallel structures, you have NATO structure and then you also have the European structure, then if we have crisis, the ball will fall in the middle and then we are all in trouble. So in military terms, we shouldn't create any alternatives. When this, or if this commissioner is meant to, boost the defense industry so that, what more can we do together so that this goes faster, then I think it's a good idea, but being very wary that we don't duplicate NATO.
I mean, the usual European answer to US concerns is, well, we are just strengthening the European pillar within NATO if we do that, so that would be acceptable?
Yeah. No, this is understandable. We have to do more in Europe. All the countries have to do more in Europe, and we are together. We are stronger.
So when you meet your German counterparts here, where do you see them as compared to 2 years ago? Has the Zeitenwende moved on?
It has. I must say that, I remember the times before the war started, and that was completely different. And then, Germany made this Zeitenwende, and Germany is the biggest supporter of Ukraine. And I know, I probably after this, I'm going to have a meeting with the journalists here, and I very often see that they want to get all these bad words out of me. Regarding Germany, but I've never given that because, let's focus on what Germany is doing. And Germany is doing a lot. And I understand the critic here, but I think there are other countries that could also do more. And so let's focus also on what Germany has done.
Like what other countries?
other big countries in Europe. I mean, we are all democracies, and we all come from our, domestic politics and also our public opinion. It was Plato who said that the role of leaders is also to educate people. And what is interesting is that we go to the European elections, and when we had that 2 months or some months ago, we had a big poll. What is the main topic in different European countries going to the European election? And only 3 countries, the main topic was defense or security. And these countries were Poland, Estonia, and Denmark. And why Denmark? Because Denmark's prime minister is very strong on security and educating its people. And people understand that this is the topic. We have to do more there. So I feel that this is a bit changing now. I talked to some prime ministers who haven't taken security, and I'm not talking about Germany, but some others who haven't taken security issues that seriously, saying that other issues are more important. They are realizing now that we have to do more. Now our people understand, but it's also up to the leaders to really explain.
We're slightly over time, but I would like to take one last question from the audience. It is about the succession of the NATO Secretary General. Yeah, sorry. After that, we let you go. Mark Rutte now seems to be the favorite. You are one of the names in the game.
No, I'm not in the game.
Okay.
I said to answering a journalist question. He asked me, would you like to be considered? I said, yes, I would like to be considered, but I was never considered. So I mean...
so the question was,
it.
Will you work with Mark Rutte, and how will it be like?
Of course, we will work with the Secretary General, and hope that next time we are also considered equals. Let's say so.
Prime Minister, thank you very much for taking the time.